proceedings with the dua. Maulana Khalil.
Shukran, Dr. Hanif. اللهم صل على محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم كلما ذكرك الذاكرون كلما غفل عن ذكرك الغافلون صل على المؤمنين والمؤمنات والمسلمين والمسلمات الأحياء منهم الأموات إنك يا ربنا سميع قريب مجيب دعوات برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين ربنا تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع العليم وتب علينا إنك أنت التواب الرحيم اللهم أنت السلام ومنك السلام وإليك يعود السلام فحينا ربنا بالسلام وأدخلنا الجنة دار السلام تبارك ربنا وتعاليت يا ذا الجلال والإكرام سمعنا وأطعنا غفرانك ربنا وإليك المصير صل اللهم وسلم على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه وأمته أجمعين والحمد لله رب العالمين.
Shukran, Maulana Khalil, and I'd like to welcome everyone to.
First and foremost, I'd like to thank everybody that's present. And however, I just got one problem before I start. I prepared my presentation. I say covered at 90%, when I was told no, I need to speak first. So I have to change my whole presentation and let it all flows into one another. So I'll start from the beginning where it all started initially. On June 11, 2020, Judge Matlanga gave his judgment in the Constitutional Court, deemed part of the Electoral Act to be unconstitutional. Parliament was given 24 months to make provision for independent candidates. This was an opportunity to make additional amendments to the Electoral Act. Provisions has been made in the bill for the following: independent candidates, an open list PR system allowing voters the final say on ranking candidates of the political parties they support. Voters will vote for a candidate on a party's list rather than for the party per se. The party loses nothing, but the people gain. They get an MP or an MPL of their own choice, creating 42 multi-member constituencies using the demarcation of the 44 municipal district councils and 8 metropolitan councils. MPs, MPLs, and councillors will have to work as a team. There will be 300 such teams across South Africa working cooperatively as enjoined by Chapter 3 of the Constitution. Each district will have an office where what we call the one-stop shop can be held to deal with the problems of the people, reducing the seats in the National Assembly from 400 to 350, and in the provincial legislature as a whole from 430 to 300. We all know government is broke. It can no longer afford to be very big and very expensive. This is the kind of electoral laws our country should have had all along. Now, as you look at from the Freedom Charter since 1995, and I quote, the people shall govern. Till 1994, when we had our first democratic election, the closed list PR system was used. In 1996, we had the Arniston Bosberaad. The PR system was obtained for the 1999 general election while new ideas were investigated. In 1998, at the ASA Roundtable on Electoral Reform, discussions took place regarding a mixed member proportional system with single member constituencies. On the 26th of March 1999, President Mandela said the following to the nation in his farewell speech, and I quote, "We do not need to ask whether we need to re-examine our electoral system so as to improve the nature of our relationship as public representatives with our voters. Indeed, questions have been raised, we know, as to whether this house is not a carriage on the gravy train whose passengers idle away their time at the nation's expense." In 2002, Dr. Frederick van Zyl Slabbert was commissioned to investigate electoral systems best suited for South Africa, with one of the main recommendations was for South Africa to have a mix of proportional representation and a constituency-based system. It was suggested that the country be divided into 69 multi-member constituencies that would together directly elect 300 of the 400 members of the National Assembly. The remaining 100 seats would be filled according to proportional representation. In 2006, the National Assembly appointed an independent panel chaired by former MP Prex Govender, who also recommended a mixed system, which attempts to capture the benefits of both the constituency-based and proportional representation electoral system. In 2017, the Kgalema Motlanthe report reiterated the following. One of the major challenges with the current electoral system is the weakness of the proportional representation system in holding politicians to account to the electorate. Members of parliament are appointed not directly by voters, but rather by the party, based on candidates lists submitted to the Electoral Commission ahead of the elections. This makes them beholden to the party and its leadership rather than voters, and places party politics and loyalties ahead of effectiveness and delivery. In conclusion, my team and I came up with the following: inclusion of independent candidates in elections, creating a hybrid system providing for proportional representation as well as for 52 multi-member constituencies, retaining the single transferable vote mechanism to ensure proportional representation, requiring each candidate to publish how that candidate will seek to advance the provisions of the Bill of Rights when elected, achieving a smaller government because of the fiscal reality, exploring electronic and postal voting. I so thank you. Honorable AG.
Thank you very much.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. A lot has been said, and I think that that doesn't need to be repeated. But I think that I am grateful to have been given this opportunity to share some thoughts and ideas on the coming elections. Firstly, I'd like to say that the Al-Jama party is built on a solid foundation of integrity, and not just ordinary integrity. Our foundation is Islamic integrity, which is the highest standard of integrity that humanity can imagine. While we are a small party, we have big ideas, and I believe that we can achieve big things if we get our act right. The party is for all people. It's not just for Muslims. It's for all people, and where the president has proposed the bill on marriages, and that bill covers everybody, not just the Muslims. And while it'll be of great benefit to Muslims, it'll be of great benefit to the general populace of the country. The party is for all people, not just for Muslims. It's for all people of all faiths, of all colors, of all creeds, of all religions, and whatever else. And our president speaks out against all forms of injustice and lies. For example, we had that one DA councillor who blasphemed Islam by saying that Islamic terrorists are growing in Mozambique and they're coming down to South Africa, and South Africa had better watch out. And our president gave him a lovely mouthful, and I think that the president deserves a great thank you for that from Al-Jama and from the populace generally. Viva President, viva. We hope to grow our party by including all faiths, and we must concentrate on getting more people of other faiths into the party other than Islam, Muslims. People are beginning to see clearly the global war on Islam. For example, in Sri Lanka, they've just passed a ban on the niqab. I don't know if, I'm sure most of you are aware of that. And that is now, once again, a growth on the war on Islam. And unfortunately, the day 3/3/24, 3rd of March 1924, we signed our death warrant. The Ummah signed its death warrant by accepting the demise of the caliphate. And once the caliphate was destroyed, we then accepted nationhood. And when we accepted nationhood, we accepted our destruction. And what the powers that be are going to be doing, and they have been doing for the last 100 years or so, is that they are merging us one nation at a time. So it's Sri Lanka at one stage, then it's Burma, then it's Chechnya, then it's Afghanistan and Iraq, and the list goes on and on and on. And believe me, it's a never-ending war. And at this point in time, we in South Africa have been somewhat shielded by Allah Subhanahu wa Taala, I believe, because of our great generosity and our attachment to Islam. You know, the whole war in Islam is driven by the United Nations, which is really a tool of imperialism to keep non-European peoples enslaved. And we, as Al-Jama, must see the bigger picture whenever we deal with anything like that, any matter. No matter how small the matter is, we must always look at it in terms of the big picture. Unfortunately, the ANC has let the people down very badly. My uncle, Chota Motala, who gave his life for the freedom of the people, fighting against apartheid, I'm sure if he was alive today, he would be very upset, and probably is turning in his grave at the moment because of what is going on. You know, the ANC was portrayed as a liberating force. However, it has failed the majority of the population. And we see that the rich are getting richer and the poor are getting poorer. And the ANC was supposed to have taken care of the poor, not the rich. But unfortunately, it seems to be the other way around. If we look at all the municipalities throughout the country, all municipalities are in tatters and terrible conditions, and probably the worst of all is Msunduzi. No matter how much we shout and scream and beg, we can't get things done on a major basis. For instance, at the last meeting on Wednesday, Financial Services Portfolio Committee meeting, I put forward a proposal that as far as the report on fruitless and wasteless expenditure is concerned, that the huge element of fruitless and wasteful expenditure is not included in that report. We have little insignificant tiny things put in that report just to bluff everybody. And I then said that all those employees that are getting paid big fat salaries but are doing nothing, absolutely nothing, that is also wasteful and fruitless expenditure. And that must also be included in the report. And that proposal of mine was accepted and was included in the minutes. Unfortunately, the officials of the council seem to have been appointed by the ANC cadres or councillors or whatever you want to call them, without any consideration for service delivery. So the people that are the staff that are employed simply because of their relationship with some or other high-ranking official or member of the ANC, and no consideration is given as to his or her expertise, experience, qualifications. It's just not normal the way things are operating, and I'm sure the same is operating throughout the country. Most of the officials, unfortunately, are just there to get their salaries at the end of the month and are siphoning as much as possible out while they have their jobs. So all tenders and stuff like that, they are involved in, and they siphon the money out, and then they create unnecessary situations where they have to go out to so-called tender and also procure the expertise of consultants. While they have been deployed to do certain work, and because they don't have the expertise and the experience and the knowledge to carry on with their work, they then go out to employ consultants or outside service providers. So we're paying for the same service twice. We're paying the officials to do the work, and at the same time we're paying consultants to do the work. And this is causing Msunduzi massive headache, because if things go as they're going currently, we may not have money enough to pay the salaries of the staff. At the last meeting, I think it was the council meeting before the finance meeting, the council wanted to hand over the repair and maintenance of electrical systems of electricity department to Eskom. And I was horrified by this because, as we all know, Eskom is a failed organization. And I said to the meeting that, listen, by appointing Eskom, we're going to be having the blind leading the blind. And it's just not on that we employ Eskom, who is really a sort of quadriplegic at the moment. It's just not on that we appoint. But however, the ANC wanted that, and so they got it. The billing system where we send out our light accounts and stuff, we have endless problems. And being in the finance department for 20 years, I am continuously, almost on a daily basis, getting inquiries to sort out problems, and it's just taking too much of my time, Then, I don't know, just everybody seemed to be trying to make a quick buck. Well, not a quick buck, I think a quick million out of the system. They send out people to do disconnections. They disconnect the wrong places. They disconnect without any consultation, without notification. And the people are really getting frustrated in Pietermaritzburg, and they are now forming groups to take the municipality to court. The business Chamber of Commerce is now garnering the support of all businesses and important bodies in Pietermaritzburg to take the municipality to court because of its total lack of integrity and its total abdication of provision of services. Yeah, I think that most of the things have been said, and I don't want to repeat what has been said already. And I think that we've got great potential because of the way the ANC is running the country, that we can take advantage of the situation. If we play our cards rightly, we can grow tremendously. And this is an opportunity we mustn't miss. Jazakallah. Assalamu alaikum.
Councillor Ahmad Hendricks.
Assalamu alaikum, good morning, everybody. I am Councillor Ahmad Hendricks, representing Al Jama on Sub-Council 17 in the Western Cape. The purpose of the meeting is to discuss the electoral policy reform. The purpose of the amendments included in the electoral law amendment bill extensive and relates to the three pieces of electoral legislation as amendments. Regarding to the Electoral Commission Act, the purpose is to insert new definition into the electoral law amendment bills in aid with the interpretation and understanding. Therefore, secondly, it is to amend province according to the registration of the party, providing for parties to be registered as a national and a provincial level as well as a metropolitan or district. Municipality is always involved repeating province relating to the registration of the party instead of particular local municipality. 13.8 to streamline province regarding the purpose of applying for a registration party and objection against such application is appeal against the decision of Chief Electoral Officer. Relating to such application, amendment allowed the IC to make a compulsory amendment and to repeal absolutely proven in the election law. In addition, relating to a electric act, the purpose is to amend relating to submission as a list of candidates and to amend provisions relating to special votes in election for amendment provisions relating to special votes on the electric for National Assembly. It extends to amend provisions relating to the proceeds concerning provincial results and voting material, and to provide for limit application of the election code of conduct. New definitions are always inserted in the Electric Act. Through the implementation of the Electric Law Amendments, Bill Schedule 3 of the Electoral Act is amended to insert new definitions. Further amendments included amending the provincial code regarding public access to the voters' roll. To make a reference to repeal reservation and amendment province allow voters to vote in voting districts in which they are not registered. How will the IEC ensure compulsory when the chief electoral officer chooses to redact information from the voters' roll? The protection of the voters' personal information against unreasonable disclosure in an important aspect, and the committee is content to see that progress is being made in alignment electrical legislation with Province Act protection. The Personal Information Act member asked if the proceeds around voters voting outside their voting districts are sufficient to ensure that everyone is only able to vote once to protect the credibility of election process. It was not the meeting was being of the process, and as the committee will involve a process of public consultation and further engagement with the IECU, ensuring a public participation proceeding in the responsibility of the committee. The committee will not compromise any of the procedures that we require to ensure that the electoral law amendment vote is proceeding in the prescribed manner in the line with the Constitution. The public must give sufficient time until 22nd January 2021 to make a necessary submission in the line with the upcoming festive period. The committee will convene a meeting to consider submission made at the end of January 2001. Electoral system obtained and voters turnout. The electoral system is based on party list proportional presentation, which means that parties are present in the proportional to the elected support for municipal council. There is a mixed member system in which vote elected individual alongside those names from the party. Alongside those names on the party list are many varieties in election system, but most common systems are first past the post voting, block voting, the two round runoff system, proportional, representative, and rank voting. Your people have the lowest turnout, how as the individual age turnout increased to be peak at 8. The role of the independent candidate is of African Democratic Municipal Election allowed the individual to stand a candidate in votes. Their success that is because of independent candidates province voters with better opportunity to express their preference. The author find independent increase the change of voters for regional parties at the expense of voters for coalition of parties that form the national government. According to study independent, thus generated trade-off between giving voters better opportunity to form expense and better representative in the government. In conclusion, the independent play an important role in election. They increase citizen knowledge about alternative policy and can facilitate the election of administration time for produce systems. Electoral planning is a process led by an electoral management body. Key considerations of electoral planning are the timing of electoral event and resources, financial and human needs for the implement of specified activity implement of specific consideration included among others the cost of society with different active in the recruitment and training election staff, use of electric material. Communication, security, and so on, planning through an holistic planning process will ensure broad consultation within EMP as well as the external act conflict from society and EMP will benefit from conducting a risk assessment potential for weakness and security threat both international. Exercise that brings together election officials, security sector agencies, civil organizer, academy, and others. Such as exercise can look into historical record of elections, violence, and current trends at national, provincial, and local level. We aim to identify internal and external factors that may increase risk strategy election through the different phase of electrical cycle. Baseline risk analysis should include the gender and mandatory mentioned and also approach and integration and strategy due to changing dynamic of electrical province. Baseline analysis should be followed up for all exercise which will follow emergency risk. Probably a year or two depending on funds. Thank you.
Next up, we should have Councillor Hussein Khan. Hafsa, is he on the platform? Because he did not send any notification that he's not going to attend. Let me see. Okay, I think we should move to Councillor Imran Musa. Bismillah.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Can you hear me?
Loud and clear. Bismillah.
As an introduction, this is Councillor Imran Musa from Ward 9, Indonesia. As an introduction, input is hereby presented by myself as the Ward Councillor Imran and dearest Honorable President and esteemed Secretary, as well as all our beloved facilitators and participants, all equal. Alhamdulillah, it is indeed an opportunity for me to present this particular input from my side. And I'm honored to be, humbly honored to be part of this process of ensuring that we have some policy guidelines in terms of the electoral process in the near future. We are indeed fortunate to have the Al Jama well-founded on noble intent with divine guidance. Shukr, alhamdulillah. Being what Al Jama gives our populace in South Africa a moral compass and a spiritual fiber that, you know, the South Africans can be guided upon. And if it's implemented well, we can only be successful. In terms of the South Africa's constitutional courts, has ruled that the country's electoral act is unconstitutional on the grounds that it does not allow citizens to be elected to the national and provincial legislators as independent candidate. We need to retain a system which meets all four principles that the Constitution envisaged for an electoral system that is fairness, inclusiveness, simplicity, and accountability. We need to commit ourselves in building a South Africa that is fair, that is reconciled, and that is prosperous for all. We need a change of governance. South Africans need to be empowered. Basic services need to be delivered. The judgment surely poses huge challenges. Independent candidates will require leadership and local governance training. The amendment of the Electoral Act would pose logistical challenges as well as a whole host of other challenges. There would also be huge operational implications for the IEC. The IEC staff would have to be retrained. All information systems are based on the party system. The judgment also impacts the electoral cycle, the whole spectrum of electoral modalities which would be affected. Timelines are also an issue. The 24-month period is unlikely enough time to amend the system. The whole electoral edifice would have to be reconstructed. Parliament needs to act as swiftly as possible. The judgment also raises a number of other issues. For instance, what would happen if an independent candidate dies or resigns? There is also the question of accountability. Accountability at a ward level would be easy, but would be more difficult at a provincial or national level. Promoting accountability of an independent candidate would require investigation. Investigation again comes at a cost. It is easier to promote accountability for party candidates. Parties are directly responsible for the actions of the candidates. One possible outcome of the judgment is that a wider choice of contestants would reverse the declining interest in the electoral process. For the 2019 election alone, for instance, more than 9 million eligible voters did not register to vote. New entrants into the electoral contest would therefore entice the uninterested eligible voters into the process. Another possible outcome could be that parties that sneak dishonorable candidates into their list could be forced to improve their nomination process. However, it is highly unlikely that independents will ever be in the majority to elect a president among themselves. Parties are the only ones that could possibly get majority support, enabling them to elect a president from their midst. What might protect established parties against competition from independents is the likelihood of poor organizational infrastructure, inexperience, and money. Their success is not guaranteed. Having hundreds or thousands of independents surely will be an untenable situation for the many reasons as stated above for the electoral policies in the near future. I thank you very much. Jazakallah khairan for the opportunity of bringing this input to our participants on this platform.
Grand Councillor Musa. Next up is Councillor Asghar Khan. Bismillah.
Shukran. Honorable Chair, the President of the organization, Honorable Hendricks, General Councillor Farid Ahmad, members of the National Working Committee and the National Executive Committee, fellow colleagues, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and good day to one and all. The electoral system that South Africa currently adheres to is based on a proportional representation system, where a political organization appoints its representatives to council, legislature, or parliament based on a proportional allocation of votes received in the elections. The only directly elected member or councillor of a political organization or an independent is the ward councillor in a local government election. The white paper on local government stipulates a directly elected ward councillor who is a representative of either a political organization or an independent to champion service delivery matters within the ward, and a PR or proportional representation councillor will represent the interests of his or her constituency. This allows for minority views to be expressed and thus allowing minorities a voice within the corridors of power. The proportional representation system is also followed in the allocation of seats within the provincial legislature, the National Assembly, and the National Council of Provinces. These spheres of government currently don't accommodate the independent candidates. The Constitutional Court has now tasked Parliament to pass legislation that will make provision for independent candidates in these spheres of government, i.e., or that is, the provincial and national government. This would then require that the Electoral Commission divide the country into voting constituencies or districts in order for directly elected representatives to represent the people of that particular constituency. This is to promote accountability. In theory, this would be a good move, as it would allow individuals either as an independent or a representative of a political organization to be directly elected, as lists will be open for public scrutiny prior to elections. So the electorate will be informed and make an informed choice. The people of the constituents will thus make an informed choice, and individuals will be responsible for service delivery and for delivering programs of the different departments to each constituents. The allocated seats for the constituency to either the provincial legislature or the National Assembly will be known prior to the election based on the proportion of registered voters within the district or constituency. This will most certainly lead to bigger parties gaining a larger slice of the representation pie, as they have the majority of voters on their sides. This will eventually lead to what is known as a two-party state, which is ironic, as the legislation is coming in with the intention of making it easier for independents to contest and represent their constituents. However, the larger parties will win majority of seats in the constituency and leave minorities and independents out of the decision-making of the country. It must be remembered that the African peer review mechanism made mention that one of the biggest threats to democracy on the African continent is a two-party state. During the dark days of apartheid, the minority white oppressors oppressed the majority of black South Africans through oppressive laws aimed at segregation and separate development. My fear is that this type of electoral system will lead to minorities such as the Indians, Cape Malays, and even the Khoi being suppressed, and their views will not be heard due to them not meeting the required quota in a particular constituency, although throughout the Republic, their numbers dictate their voices ought to be heard. Honorable Chair, as a political organization which aims to champion the rights of minority communities within South Africa and to bring about a moral rejuvenation and a regeneration of morality within South Africa, within the South African political landscape, I think it is imperative that Al Jamaa should seek to ensure that the constitutional rights of minorities are not trampled upon by power-hungry political organizations. We don't represent the interest or those political organizations who don't represent the interests and the views of the marginalized minority in this country. We are a political platform for all communities, but in reality, we represent a marginalized minority who without Al Jamaa would have had no voice in the corridors of power. Al Jamaa must lobby to ensure that legislation does not exclude minorities and that it makes provision for a proportional representation outside of the said districts. If not, a large chunk of South African citizens will be left out in the cold without a voice. Mr. President, we have a responsibility to ensure that minorities are represented in South Africa. As Al Jama, we must make a difference, and we will make a difference as long as we are committed to our communities. Thank you. Shukran. Salaam alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. That's it, Mr. President.
Mr. President, we have a responsibility to ensure that minorities are represented in South Africa. As Al Jama, we must make a difference, and we will make a difference as long as we are committed to our communities. Thank you. Shukran. Salaam alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.